and that alert comes up to you. Welcome to our online safety for everyone. And I am Rebecca Rosecrans from TCCSA. At any time we are out in the world, we need to be aware of what we share. In our everyday lives, we share bits of information about ourselves without even suspecting it could be used against us. So we drive around and we might be an advertisement for information about us. Anytime we interact online, we need to protect our own personal information because it's much easier for information to be shared to third parties without our knowledge. And these examples from Facebook could lead to giving away answers to security questions for online accounts. In this class, you'll gain a basic level of online safety knowledge and hopefully with that, some comfort when you're online. I have an image for you here, and I want to just have you absorb it. It's a meme, and I'll give it to you in little pieces here. So, what's your superpower? And it looks like my animation failed. There's actually an image missing here. And the first image was another gal sitting at her desk, and she says, "I can read minds." The second panel was, "So what's your superpower?" And then, of course, her like, "What? Wait, what are you talking about?" It's because she can read minds. Now, maybe you thought that was funny. It was a fail because my first image didn't pop up. But even though mind reading might seem like a really cool power for someone to have, it actually would be pretty scary for everyone else. So we all have thoughts that we don't intend or want others to know. There are private thoughts, and we'd probably feel embarrassed or vulnerable if someone else knew them. Not sharing our private thoughts is an example of privacy, which is protection from being observed or tracked by others. Oh goodness, there's my last panel. So it should have started out that she could read minds. The gal asks, "What's your superpower?" And then she has that expression of, "What? Wait, what just happened?" So yes, we want to protect ourselves, and that includes protection from other people as well as groups of people like companies, the government, or the general public. Legally, we all have certain rights related to privacy. Can you think of examples of things that people might want to keep private? So I'd like you to find the chat, or you can unmute your mic, and I'd like you to share out. And what I'll do is read off our chat for those who watch the recording. But if you are more of a talker than a typer, feel free, unmute. Let's hear your thoughts. And everyone is stone quiet. So hopefully you're in that chat. Very good. So I see privacy in our chat, information about family. Absolutely. Travel plans. Yep. When you're away from home. Locations. Excellent. Children's identity, or if you're going to be away. Yeah, travel plans, because it's summer right now when this is being recorded. So people are certainly out there going on vacation. You don't want that to be known online. And maybe even something, simple, like my grandmother would knit these horrid vests, these sweater vests for me. And this one was Pepto-Bismol pink. And I would never want her to know how much I hated that thing. But I just smile and say, "Thank you, Grandma." So thank you those who chatted and gave us those ideas. When you're online, privacy becomes more complicated. You can choose the websites you go to and what information you decide to share with others, like on social media. But depending on the device, the app, or the website you're using, your words and actions are often being collected and tracked. And that's why I showed you guys those 2 Facebook surveys in the beginning. We wouldn't normally think that someone's tracking that, but they could be. Has anyone ever seen a screen like this before? And if you have, or if you can just look at the picture, what is it? So again, take a moment, you can find our chat and give me some answers. And if you prefer, just unmute your mic real quick. All right, from one of our participants, sign up for a social media platform, correct? It's okay if somebody else answered, like if you want to be specific, if you know which social media platform it is, type that out. Thank you. Sign up for Snapchat. Yep. You guys are on it today. Great. So what we see on here is that they're asking for your name, birth date, phone number, and those 3 things, those are called personal identifiable information, PII. And all of those things get shared with Snapchat, and the first way to protect your information is to understand what companies are collecting about you. If there's something that you don't want companies or others to know about, you better not provide it or post it. So PII, it's any information that could lead back to an individual. Get this, this is pretty surprising, at least to me. With only a name, a birth date, and a zip code, you can identify as many as 87% of the population in the United States. That's crazy. That's a really high number. It wasn't even like 50. That's a really good percentage with that little bit of PII. Now, personal identifiable information there are 2 types. There's everyday data, and then government issued personal data. Everyday data, think about what you use every day, maybe just to fill out a form. And it could be your email, your birth date, but the government issued personal data, it's a little harder to get. It's your license plate number, a vehicle identification number, computer IP, or a MAC address, and the ones listed also on screen. So let's talk about another tip here for protecting your privacy. And I want to ask you again, what do these screens show? And what could you use them for? So pop out into our chat real quick, give me some feedback. And Elise, you joined us just a tad late. If you can't find the chat, feel free to unmute your mic. You can shout out an answer too. So looking in our chat, I see settings for a mobile phone. They're asking for personal information. Now that we know that term, that PII, they are. And most apps have settings you can adjust. These are screenshots of Snapchat. Within an app settings, there are usually privacy settings. Those are choices a website or app gives you about what information is visible to other users and the third parties. So in this screen on the right, we would probably adjust the area where it says who can. And yep, we have to make a username in here, and in the who can, these are really important. You know, who can contact me, who can view, and look at that one, see my location. This is big, folks. In the chat, you were saying, hey, what would you want to keep private? And it'd be like where you are, if you're on vacation or those plans. Well, that's a location just for a short period of time. And you can usually use these settings to opt out of the ways that the app shows and shares your data. And if you watch or participate in our Level Up online safety class, we'll talk about cookies in that class and more about opting out. But the general term is that opting out means that you choose not to participate in something. And that's okay. I mean, that's your right. The other day, I visited the Regal Cinemas website, and the website wanted to know my location. Now, this is for everyone, folks. I want you to think about your students. These prompts come up and they're asked these things too. So if there was a slide for you to share with your students, steal this, take it, because they are probably going to not really care and say, yeah, that's cool, that's fine. And they're going to click allow. But why do you think Regal Cinemas would want to know this information? And use our chat. We'll see if anybody can give us some feedback. All right, some feedback coming in on our chat. Send coupons for particular movies. Okay, maybe. Maybe that's why they want to know where we're located. Target them for information and movie stuff. Maybe to know where you visit or shop. Also think about too, remember one of the top 3 things, your name, your birth date, your zip code. So if it knows your zip code, do all theaters play the same movies? Kind of as a hint. More feedback came in from our chat. Ads for particular movies. And there we go. That was what I was after, or areas you are. So that we would need to give up our location so that they give us the proper movie schedule. So do you guys think we could still use this website if we block our location? I mean, would that make it harder for us? And see, this is the browser. We are giving up information from our computer. Do we really have to give that up to get the current and proper movie times for our area? And maybe you've never used a movie website. I rarely do, but I'm going to give this one out to you guys. You could still use this website, but maybe somewhere on the website, you would have to enter in a zip code or a town. But that's you typing it in on the website, not giving it up from your computer. So there's a slight difference. So it's very slight, but think about that a moment. What you're giving or what you are putting in. And a question in our chat is it tracked then when you enter the zip code? If I'm putting the zip code on the website itself, they're probably collecting that data, but they're not getting anything else from me. They're only knowing that somebody entered this zip code, 44691. Like, I remember, oh gosh, Target, Lowe's, if they were doing some campaign while I was shopping, they would say, what's your zip code? Now, I'm using a credit card, so I already know they're going to get it from me. But one time I asked, why do you need to know my zip code? And the gal answered, oh, well, we want to know so that if there's a lot of people from that zip code shopping, then maybe they'll build a store in your area. And I politely declined and said, well, I know they will never be building out in my area because it's between 2 cornfields, but that is some of the reasoning why they're asking for it. It could be, they're wanting a little information from you, but I think that's where that stops. If you hand enter it on the website, that's all you have given, they know nothing more about you. But if you give up your location, that's a bit more than just your zip code. So I hope that answered the question a little bit for you. Now, geotagging. We're still talking about location because I feel very strongly about this. So we're looking at a screenshot of a phone, an Apple phone. Make sure your device settings aren't the cause for your information getting out. Smartphones have global positioning systems built in. This means the photos you take can be traced back to their location. Additionally, you can go to each app you use and set location, services, and more. So this is off of my phone, and up here under the Facebook app, I go to location and it says never share my location. Same with my phone, camera, and never. And for our Android users, just for the location tags, you would be under camera and then turn off location tags. Even though in the picture it's still on, but you'd want to turn that off. So here's an example, and I'm collecting these from very recent photos. So on my own phone, I was in my photo roll and I noticed under people and places, 3 locations were detected. And lo and behold, these are actually 2 locations, but 3 photos. So one here in May and another just recently on June 14th. When I click on each location, it identifies the people in my phone based on previous photos. And that is just because it was a headshot and my phone is detecting that face using facial recognition and just matching up a pattern. And then it said, oh, that is the person in that photo at that place. And you probably have this on your own phone as well. So let's take this one here from Amherst and click nearby photos right here. It says there's 2. And when I do that, the geolocation information takes me to the exact house within a few feet of where the photo was taken. Now, if you haven't already turned off the location of your camera, I highly recommend you do so going forward. And these 3 photos came to me from texts. So if a person has that on, and then you download that photo from the text, now you're going to see location for their photo, and maybe share this out with them. Hey, please turn that off, or here's some advice I have for you. And that brings us to our quick poll here. And I'm going to launch this to ask all of you, and I'll bring this into our screen for those who watch the recording because they can't participate live. Do you know your phone location setting for photos? Maybe you don't. That's okay. This is anonymous anyhow. Or if you do know, is it off or is it on? And I used to think it was super cool when it was on. And then I got thinking, ooh, that's not so cool. When it was somebody else and they did one of those Facebook, hey, we're on vacation, and it clearly was just broadcasting that they were away. So I hope this basic knowledge of location settings helps the 4 of you who don't know. So after class, or maybe even right now, you're quickly grabbing your phone and going into your settings to adjust that, which is perfectly fine. Just, I don't want to lose you entirely. So those are the results, and I'm going to end our poll real quick. And then I'll share that for those who are in class. We saw that 4 don't know, and 2 they do know, and it is off, which is awesome. Good job. Now here we are looking at another piece of that screen from Snapchat. And another way you can protect your privacy is by looking at what you're agreeing to when you sign up. I want to direct your attention here to the fine print above where it says sign up and accept. The two words in bold, privacy policy and terms of service, sometimes known as TOS. These two things are very important. They actually tell you everything you're agreeing to legally when you agree to use the app. A privacy policy describes what user information the app or the website collects about how they use it. And then the terms of service, that is rules. These are rules that the company and the user must obey when they use the app. So these documents are pretty long, sometimes difficult to understand, but just know they're legal agreements that users opt in to. Talked about opting out, but these are things you're opting in when you sign up. If you just think of this term ask, anytime you're looking at one of those privacy policies, what is being accessed, what will be shared, and what could be known. And if it's too much, then you just got to back out. You don't agree to it. And maybe sometimes we are agreeing just because we want to follow our families, but that's your judgment to make. We're going to move on to something else that's pretty important, and that's password security. When selecting a password, you want to aim for one that is safe, secure, but definitely, we need these things to be easy to remember. I think I am well over 80 passwords with just my personal account, and I'm not even talking my work stuff. So that stuff is impossible anymore to remember. Back when I started teaching, I had one. So I really miss those days. It was so much simpler. So whenever we are preparing and creating and thinking of a password, we want to think of complexity. It could be used, complexity used to be the way to create a password. They were difficult to remember and people then would write them down. Now, that's not safe because now there's a Post-it under my keyboard that somebody can quickly access. So complexity used to be the way to go, and now that practice has been replaced with long passwords that are easy to remember. And I'm talking just within the last 5 years, this has been the major change, and passwords are getting much longer, but easy to remember. You take a look at that length. So what are some strategies? A sentence. Those are easy to remember. Pick unrelated random words, and they could be words alone that have meaning to you, but because they're put together in this phrase or a sentence, then they would have meaning and make a good password. And diversify your passwords. Don't use the same password for other accounts, because that's like having no password for that second, third, and fourth account. Especially your banking, make sure that is unique. Those are our strategies we're going to try and follow. So here I have a website, Password Monster. I'm going to copy this link for you guys, and we are going to do some password testing. So this is where, if you are in the live meeting, you need to escape and go ahead and get to this website. As you can see, the URL is very simple, passwordmonster.com. So in another tab, you can visit this. And I see a question that popped up. Do I recommend turning off location services under privacy? And I would say Yes. For apps, for camera, yes, anytime. And now that might disable some features, like when people are at a fair, you know, you're not going to hear your phone or your ringing or a text pop through. So sometimes you can use location services to find another person in your family, like your children. So just watch some of those settings. You might leave location on for that to find people, but that's a really special feature, I know, in iPhones. So the website here, how secure is your password? Take the password test. Now, I'm a bit neurotic and I wouldn't really put my real password in here just because I don't know. I don't want to trust that something I've entered into a free tool I'm using. But I'm going to try a few here and you can try too. So what it's doing for us, it's letting us know it could crack our password in 0.32 seconds. Yeah, hundredths of a second, right? Even so, that's probably not a good one. Let's pick something else. And you can't see what I'm typing. I can show these to you. The first one was Scooby-Doo. Now you see I'm crazy. Okay, got a little more time, a whole whopping 5 seconds out of that password. Not so good. How about very weak for a moment there. I thought I had, okay, a medium. Oh, I love chocolate. Medium level, but as I kept typing, even though it got longer, it got weaker. Sometimes you might think of a song. I'm using a capital now. That's still 70 seconds. I mean, come on, we need to get days, years. We want a long time. And if anybody in our class wants to give me a suggestion, please suggest one and we'll see how it does. Oh, I'm up to 20 minutes, almost 21 minutes, but still, that's not long enough. And we see down here that it is detecting I had lower and uppercase. And you know, with passwords, they're requiring more. Okay, so I have a suggestion to add a number. Ooh, uh-oh. I got, okay, good. It went the right way. I got another 40 minutes out of that. 6 days. Oh, yeah, so it can by adding numbers. So now I have 3 of the 4. Okay, another suggestion from our chat, add a character. Most common character, right? Exclamation point, woohoo, 22 days. I mean, that's better, but 22 days, that doesn't seem very long in all honesty. But so let's try what I mentioned earlier about the random words. So I have blue. This is something, again, I'm not going to use this password, but blue is my favorite color. So it's easy for me to remember that. Oops. Our dog is part Chihuahua. She is 3 and she's a rescue. Oh, look at that, folks. This is what we're after. And I only used lowercase. And I can remember all of that except for probably the spelling of Chihuahua. That's a tough one. And I might even have spelled it wrong. But let me just back off a little. 33 billion years. And I only used lowercase. I didn't have to throw in that special exclamation. Oh, wait, was it a tilde? Oh, was it a % sign? Because that's the complexity thing we got to get away from. It's just too hard to remember. But a blue Chihuahua 3 rescue without the E. Now that right there, folks, that's what I'm after. So try it yourself. You can try passwords with spaces. Wow, 1 space, and I'm going to get out of this 1 password 659 trillion years. I'm feeling a little better about my blue Chihuahua who's 3 in a rescue. I put the E back on. Okay, I could take 1 billion. That way I know all my words are spelled instead of dropping off the E. So check out this website and think of your passwords and what knowledge you've gained right now to improve your passwords. And I know sometimes we have no choice. You have to have an upper, you have to have numbers, and you have to have symbols. But if you go with the bulk of the message, or sorry, bulk of the password being easy to remember, random words, then these things at the end, the numbers and symbols, you could always use the number 1. You could always use the exclamation point across various passwords because the bulk of it is so unique at the beginning. So that's just some advice from me. Hope you had fun with that website. Now we're going to move on, and no spaces, right? We could add spaces. We saw I had gone from down to, I actually went down, I think. Can't remember which one, if it was when I added the space, if I went up or down, but spaces can help with the time it takes to crack a password. Sometimes you're not allowed to have spaces though. Remember the requirements. We have to include a upper, a lower, the numbers, and or symbols. So I'll leave it up to you if you want to substitute one of the letters for a symbol. But again, that starts to make it complex. Or if you'll just tag those on to the end. The password generator. In some cases, people don't even know their password because they take advantage of password generators. And then you store those passwords in a password manager. Now, when I started using that website, it popped up right here. Google had done that and I had just ignored it. And maybe it did it for you too. But my browser was prompting me to use the password it came up with. And I did not take it. I wasn't really setting up an account. But anytime you're in one of those fields, setting up a new account, then you will be prompted possibly from your browser. So here I was working with my PBS Learning Media account, first name, last name, email, and password. And as soon as I had clicked in this field, my Google Chrome browser popped up and was making a suggestion. So these password generators and managers are tools you can use as well. Chrome Password Manager is already in your browser if you are a Chrome user. There could be others, but I'm just sticking with one to keep things pretty simple. So if you ever are looking for the Chrome Password Manager, it's passwords.google.com. So let me put that in our chat for everybody. And the link to all the resources shared in our chat will be in the video description when I post this to YouTube. We're seeing things in movies. We've seen them for ages, but now these things called biometrics are becoming real. They are physical or behavioral human characteristics that can be used to identify an individual, such as fingerprints. So they're easy to lift though and reuse on a device, but the audience is limited. Anybody who actually has access to your fingerprint locally and then can use that on your device. Facial recognition software, it's made the most improvements in the recent years. In the past, it was fooled easily though by a photograph. So one method alone to access a device or an account, what they're finding, it's just not strong enough. Now, if I had made that blue Chihuahua 3 rescue password that takes 1 billion years, yeah, that's great. But most people aren't building passwords with those phrases. And they get basically cracked in minutes or seconds. So what's happening out there is that companies, insurance, for cybersecurity are requiring something called multiple factor authentication. So that just means you have to authenticate in more than one way. You might hear this abbreviated as MFA, two-factor authentication, which is also 2FA. And our school districts are being required, certainly at the level where it's your tech director and the servers, possibly your treasurers, and you may have already been approached and now your Gmail is required to have multiple factor authentication. And if you want to sound off in our chat, if you in your school account, in your Gmail already are required, just say, yeah, I use that multiple thing with school. And when it comes to the authentication, this big fancy word is just meaning it's the process of proving that some fact or some document is genuine. So in the computer world, that term's typically associated with your identity. Now, there are 3 authentication factors, and one is something you know. So it's a password, a PIN, your mother's maiden name. One is something you have. It's a key, a badge, credit card, your phone, email. And then the last is something that you are, something like your biometrics, the fingerprints, your voice. And the idea is the device or account you are accessing is more secure using more than one factor than it is than using just one. Now, authentication factors are not new, but they are harder to use when on the internet. So it is not MFA if you have 2 things in the same category. So we can't have 2 things we know, 2 things we own, or 2 things like 2 biometrics, our fingerprint and our face. So the way that it's a true MFA, it has to be in 2 categories. So if it's something I know, and then something I am, okay? That is true to FA, MFA. Here's another example. Something I own, okay? I physically am holding a card, and then I know something about that card. But when you go get gas, they're asking either for your zip code or they're asking for your PIN for that card. And that is an example of multiple factor authentication. And one last example. Something you know. Okay, so you know this special code and you have in possession your cell phone. This right now is the most common online multiple factor authentication that's happening. And the hard part on this is you hope you have a cell signal if you're at a computer in your classroom and you need to authenticate. I know in some of our buildings that can be difficult, but it doesn't always go to a text. It might also go to an email, a separate email than maybe the one you're working with. And so I have a poll question for you all. And I might have missed one of my questions. Oh, let me ask my biometrics question here real quick since I did skip it. And I'll share this with all of you. Earlier, I should have asked you, do you use biometrics to access a device or account? So 2 of us are in there looking for a few more. I know with my phone, I love using my thumbprint. So I set that up when I got my new phone. The problem is when my thumb is wet, and we have in our chat, another person is saying, my phone won't recognize my thumbprint. You can use another finger. Usually if you have a calloused hand, those don't read well. So you could pick like your pinky or your ring finger, which might be a little softer to recognize. So give that a shot. So all of us have answered, and you see that more of us are using biometrics than not. And then I will share our last poll question, and that is, do you have accounts right now that use multiple factor authentication? And we're going to hear from our crowd. Oh goodness, everybody, every single one of us already. That is wild. Okay. So we are all very aware of it, but maybe you didn't know the why. It's the cyber insurance companies who are after our schools and after organizations to provide MFA. Now, another part of this class is to talk about phishing, and you probably are very well aware of this, but we'll see how good we are at detecting it. Phishing is the most common way criminals gain foothold into your world. And here is an old example. You might get this from email. It's often how you're going to get these. And it contains suspicious or obviously incorrect information. So look at this. We see in the header from Amazon Prime rewards, forgive me. And Layla at AlbionAmazonsales.com. All right, clearly that's not from Amazon, right? Now, let's look at another one. Phishing emails may contain a generic greeting like "Dear PayPal customer" or "Dear account holder" instead of your name. And this one says, "Hi, dear." Well, any email can contain a spelling error or two. Most legitimate emails don't contain gross writing errors. So here's another "Hi, dear," right? Phishing emails are often sent from other countries. Big surprise. Now, English is not their primary language. So if you see bad English, it's usually a good sign that an email is spam. And if not, an outright phishing attack. Phishing emails often have an urgent or threatening tone to them. They require you to click a link or open an attachment to avert a problem, avoid an account shutdown. Cyber criminals use threats or a sense of urgency to scare you into acting quickly without thinking. They use our emotions to get us to take action without thinking too much. This is a phishing email about a package and delivery charges. It's pretty long. I don't expect you to read the whole thing. They aren't really phishing for money quite yet in this attempt. They're phishing for a name, address, and phone number. So they're saying it's important that they need to reconfirm our current delivery. This is what they want from us. Remember what I said at the beginning, 3 things can identify 87% of the people in the United States. So who knows what they're going to do with these 3 things? Open an account or start something up or just share it out. So the generic salutation there at the top, we see "Dearest beneficiary," and there at the urgency at the bottom, "Please hurry," right? We don't want, oh goodnesses, we even see like an British English spelling here. So this has some red flags that even if you're uncertain or you're on the bubble, take it to your tech director, take it to just share, have another set of eyes look at it. Now, it's important to know No legitimate business, no government agency, TCCSA, we will never contact you via email to obtain personal information. They won't ask for credit card numbers. We won't ask for passwords. Goodness, if we wanted to get into your account, we would just reset your password, which we do not do. And then we are seeing that any email we receive that requests details like this should be deleted immediately. We could forward those to our tech person, just how I'm being asked in the chat. But yeah, forward them to them, because if it's coming from our mail system, then your tech director can reach out to us and then we will pull it, and we're able to pull those, and it might affect not only your school district, but it in some cases goes out to multiple districts. So that's great that we're able to have the actual message. So we see the sender, we see the timestamp. Yeah, so by all means, forward it to your tech director. They're going to know better to not click, especially since, if you add a note that says, hey, this looks fishy, what do you think? They are not going to type, they're pretty sharp. Be aware, attackers will often set up sites that look similar to the real thing, and it can be almost impossible to tell the difference. And they'll send email asking to verify that personal info, like we saw in the earlier example. And as a general practice, just avoid clicking links in email, especially this one. It's hidden. It says click here. I know in one of our districts, they have told, and they've done very well with their staff, to say never click a link at all. Now, for us at TCCSA, we want to send you messages that have our classes. So you have to take some of that with a grain of salt, or you can go to our event scheduler and click the links to see what classes we have. So think about it. If you have another way that you can open a browser tab and get to that source, do it that way. Never click the link that's in the message, especially if it's being urgent and is generic. So unwanted commercial emails are also known as spam. They could be annoying as well. So, whoops, let me go back. Here is a popular scam that flies under the radar. It's fake shipping notifications. They're designed to trick you, and they want you to click a tracking number. That way, what happens, malicious software is installed on your computer, or they gain access to your login information. Here we have something that claims it's from UPS. Well, when it's the holidays, we are a little distracted and a little more busier than usual, and more packages are shipped. So it's easier for us to fall through these scams because we might really be waiting for a package. So just kind of ask yourself, hey, does this look legit? Looking at the email, don't click the link here because you could go to UPS's tracking website instead, etc. You can also take a message that you believe is spam, and you can email it to this address. This is the FTC. Back in 2004, they set up a mailbox where you can forward spam messages, and then they continue to build their database. But I'm sure that just keeps growing, and there are so many spammers out there. And if you actually were hit, then you can file a complaint. And maybe if you lost money or something happened to your account, file it with ftc.gov. That's the Federal Trade Commission's website. So I did fall for it. I'll keep this short so I get through everything in our class. But modern technologies, these attacks come in a variety of forms. And we're probably familiar with email phishing. Things like fake links, malicious files hidden in the attached documents. And with smartphones, now they have something called smishing, which is phishing via your SMS text messages on your phone. I get some all the time asking to sell our home. They seem personal. Hey, I see you're, are you looking to sell your home on such and such address? And I'm like, wow, no. So you might start seeing phishing through text messages. And there is also phishing. Now it's a voice phishing over the phone. And with AI, artificial intelligence being what it is, yikes, you may not even be talking to a human on the other end. So be very careful. They are very clever. So what did I fall for? In 2018, I got a letter in the mail. Now, this is very old school, a piece of paper. It said that my prepaid MasterCard would start having an annual fee, and I provided a phone number. Oh, and it provided a phone number to them. On December 21st, I called the number. Now, think of the date. What did I just say? December 21st. We're talking days from Christmas. I'm already scatterbrained as it is. So I'm driving home, which back then we could talk on the phone in our vehicles, but I called the number. It's the end of the day, and they're acting very much like your insurance companies, where they put you on hold, and then you're fearful, oh no, I'm going to lose them. So you're on hold with them. By the time I got across town, I looked closer at the letter. There was no actual account listed. So I pulled over in the Lowe's parking lot, jumped on Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion, because I had given out my social security number to these people. I mean, talk about the person who should know better. I totally got sucked in, and it was all based on emotions. And it was how they kept putting me on hold, and how, oh goodness, they sucked me in. It is way too easy. So I hope that doesn't happen to you, but know that you can take advantage of those tools like Experian and Equifax and TransUnion. And I put a security freeze on my credit. So just wanted to share my sad tale. I already asked this poll, and so I just want to quickly talk to you then about these spam messages, and we'll wrap up. Filter spam. So I'm popping out to email. I'm going to quickly grab a student account I use often. And in this account, I see some messages. You know, if you're logging into your Google account, you'll see a little message and say, hey, you know, just letting you know, somebody signed in. They were on a different computer. Just want to make sure this is okay. But if I was worried and I said, I didn't really sign in, I would start checking to see if this was a phishing message. This does look pretty legit. A no reply, it's accounts, google.com. The timing is about right. Oh, okay. I feel more confident that, yep, I did this. Truly, I was the one who signed in. So if you are getting a message like that, you know you are nowhere at a computer, because I have gotten that. I know I didn't even touch a device that day. Then you can go, not necessarily use the link here, but go out to a tab and sign into your account. Double check that. But the spam, what I want to show you here. So I have a spam message that I purposely forwarded to myself. And I really like what Google is doing here. Google is even detecting, hey, this message seems dangerous. Similar messages were used to steal people's PII, and they're even warning you. But if you think it looks safe, you can bypass their little warning and then go ahead and read. But this was the original message. It said Apple, no reply, and phishing. This is one of the parts to look for. That's garbage. That's not from Apple. But sometimes they'll be much closer, and they might have Apple and the number 2, but they'll open up these accounts and have it look so close that you may be fooled. And then it says we having a problem with your account. So I would have to say, hey, is that really my account number? This looks generic, not so good. Oh no, they've locked my account. Well, you know, it's locked. It's not closed. It's not disabled. But I'm, again, not going to click something that's in the message. If I truly need to check my account, which I have done recently, I'm going to go to a tab and then sign in there instead. So this is actually a spam message. So while you have your message open, you can in Gmail go up here to the ellipses where it says more when I hover over, and then I can report, no, I want to filter messages like this. So this one happens to be from myself because I forwarded it, but I really want to set up the filter that it was from this account. So let me copy that bogus email address, copy it, come up to the ellipses, pick filter, and what happened to filter? Lost it. Delete, block, report. Odd. Well, I had filter a moment ago, and I would, let me back this up. I think my restriction here at the top is what, very odd. All right, well, the rest of us did see filter there for a short time. Let me try my inbox, because anytime, I'll try it one more time. Yep, there we are. So now it was in my inbox, filter messages like this, and then I would paste, there we go, this garbage email, and I never want to have this ever again. And what do I want to happen? I need to set up my filter, and I want to create a filter based on that email account. And what does it do? Maybe it skips the inbox. Maybe I delete it. And this is also where you have messages that are important. You can do the opposite, where you never send it to spam. So you can check what you need, and now that message from this person will be filtered and go straight to trash. So that does bring us to the end of our class and our content. So just keep your browser and computer up to date to protect your personal information. Protect your passwords. Consider, maybe a password manager, password generators, and consider the MFA. That way you are protected at that double layer. And I want to thank everybody who participated in our live class, those who watched the recording. I hope you learned something and are more comfortable with sharing information and knowing what to keep private when you're online. And this is not just for you. Share this information with your students and with your family.